Hey there. Today, we're going to dive into the spooky and super fun story of a holiday that so many of us love, Halloween.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Every Halloween, we see all these exciting things. Kids are dressed up in the most amazing costumes, from superheroes to ghosts, and they're all carrying buckets just hoping to fill them up with tons of delicious candy.
But have you ever really stopped and wondered why? Why do we actually do these things? What's the real story behind putting on a costume and getting all that candy?
Well, to find out, we're going to have to hop in a time machine. And we are going way, way back, more than 2,000 years into the past. So, our story begins in Ireland with a group of people called the Celts. And every year they had this really important festival, which is kind of like a big special party.
This festival was called Samhain, and that word, Samhain, it just means summer's end. It was their way of saying goodbye to the nice, warm summer and getting all ready for a cold, dark winter.
Now, the Celts believed that on the night of Samhain, something pretty magical happened. They thought the line between our world and the spirit world got super thin, which meant that ghosts could come and visit the earth. And this idea, this belief about spirits walking the earth, well, that's where some of our favorite Halloween traditions actually started. Let's see how that led to wearing costumes and, you guessed it, asking for treats. So, since people were maybe a little bit scared of these spirits, they wanted a good way to hide. What did they do? They wore costumes and masks. That way, they could just blend in and the spirits wouldn't even notice them. So what about that famous phrase, trick or treat? Well, the whole idea is actually pretty simple. It's like saying, give me a sweet treat or I just might play a little trick on you. You know, a long time ago, some young people would go around playing pranks on Halloween. So to get them to be a little less mischievous, adults started giving out treats, like candy. And you know what? It worked. Okay, so we've talked about costumes and candy. Let's talk about another huge Halloween symbol, the glowing jack-o'-lantern. This tradition also comes from a really old Irish folktale. The story is all about a man named Stingy Jack. Now, Jack was a bit of a trickster, and he was so clever that he actually played a trick on the devil. So here's how the story goes. First, Jack tricks the devil and gets him to promise to never ever take his soul. So when Jack eventually dies, he wasn't allowed into heaven. But because of a deal he made, he couldn't go to hell either. So the devil gave him a single burning coal to help him see in the dark. To carry it, Jack carved out a turnip he had and put the coal inside. And just like that, he made a lantern. The story says Jack has been wandering the earth ever since with only his turnip lantern to light his way. And so, people started calling him Jack of the Lantern, which, over time, got shortened to the name we use today, Jack-o'-lantern. But wait a minute. These traditions all started in Ireland. So how did they get all the way to America and turn into the holiday we all know and love? Well, back in the 1800s, lots of people from Ireland moved to America to start a new life. And when they came, they brought their wonderful holiday customs with them, including the traditions of wearing costumes and making those lanterns. And this is where a really big change happened. See, back in Ireland, people carved turnips. But in America, they found pumpkins, and pumpkins were everywhere. They were also much bigger and a whole lot easier to carve. So the turnip lantern got an upgrade and became the pumpkin jack-o'-lantern we see today. So, let's do a quick recap of the story of Halloween. It all started over 2,000 years ago with that festival, Samhain, in Ireland. Then, in the 1800s, Irish immigrants brought those traditions over to America. And that all leads up to today, where we celebrate with costumes, candy, and carved pumpkins.
So the next time you put on a costume or carve a pumpkin, you can remember that you are part of a tradition that is thousands of years old. It's a story that's a little spooky, but also a whole lot of fun.
So the next time you say trick or treat, you'll know the long and fascinating history behind it. That really only leaves one important question. What is your favorite Halloween candy? Happy Halloween, everyone!